The International Committee of the Red Cross, which is dedicated to enforcing humanitarian law throughout the real world and also maybe now in the virtual world, in video games. They're asking that people in-game be punished for committing war crimes, such as torture or killing civilians, in a way in the game from developers. But they're saying like, oh, don't kill the fun.
Yeah, I don't think this is a misguided effort. I don't think this is the type of PETA lunacy that we see, how they get upset whenever animals are killed in video games, like at all ever. Let's just ignore hunting and whaling and fishing and dog cruelty that happens in the real world. It can't happen in video games. I think this is sort of their heart is in the right place.
See, I feel like it's extremely misguided. And it's again, misunderstanding a medium thoroughly. Of course, we know in 2011 in the Supreme Court case Brown versus EMA that video games are now protected free speech.
True.
So there's that, first of all. You can't tell them what to say and what to do in games. That's not okay, as ruled by the fucking Supreme Court. Sorry, I got a little mad for a second. And I think people are vastly misunderstanding how games teach people and that you aren't necessarily supposed to like everything the character that you're playing as does. It's not something, you're not supposed to, verbatim, oh, I killed people in this game, so I'm going to go kill people in real life because that is how I understand the world. I think it is supposed to be understood as an entertainment medium, as something that is fun, as a means of escapism, much like a movie.
Well, I'm going to argue your point, but with different words. I'm going to say that the way to teach people the sort of morality that the Red Cross wants to be taught is not so much the protagonist of the game being punished for actions, but the player having to deal with having to do the player's actions. That was confusing,
yes.
But for example.
I do want you to tell this example, and I do want to put up a spoiler warning for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, this is a serious Grand Theft Auto 5 spoiler. You may have already heard about what they're calling the most controversial scene. There is a scene in Grand Theft Auto 5 where, playing as Trevor, you have to interrogate a character.
And by interrogate, you mean
torture.
Hit.
There is a lot of different torture methods involved.
Yes.
There's electrocution, there is pulling out teeth with pliers, there is hitting them with a pipe wrench, and there is good old-fashioned waterboarding. Now, you cannot progress in the game until you do these things, and they are very graphic, and I found very uncomfortable to actually do. And the game sets it up so that you see this person that you're interrogating and beating and physically hurting really is an innocent bystander in this whole big
You understand that
government
he's innocent. You understand that he doesn't deserve this, yet you still have to do it as the character, though you as the player yourself most likely feel some amount of empathy and regret and not wanting to do this. You understand that it's wrong.
Yeah, so it's not so much you losing the mission or even your character being punished for doing these things. It's you as a player having to live with these decisions, and going against your will makes you uncomfortable and paints a picture of what torture really is in your mind and how it works.
Yes.
And I think that's a better lesson for the player.
Well, Grand Theft Auto is a very common target for these, video games are violent and they're teaching violence to our young and they're causing gun violence. But I think they, at least in Grand Theft Auto 5, on top of my argument that this is entertainment and you shouldn't be playing these games if you're not mature enough to play these games, it's showing you that it's excruciating being this kind of person. It's gruesome. Even in the first scene in Grand Theft, well, not the first, very early on when you're forced to shoot the security guard and kill him, you have no other option to complete this mission. I felt bad about that immediately. I tried everything I could to not kill the guard, and I had to kill the guard. I think that's the way it teaches you a lesson.
There's the counter argument that some kids will really enjoy that scene and, get their rocks off to beating up innocent people with a pipe wrench and waterboarding them. And I say, yes, that probably will happen with some people. But I think the vast majority of people will get the opposite lesson.
That will probably happen when people are watching maybe a movie like American Psycho. Oh, that's fucking awesome when he killed that guy for, in the apartment. But
I don't think that the game or the movie causes that reaction. I think that proclivity is already in that person.
I don't think they're actively promoting that as a positive either. So in context, I don't think what the American Red Cross is suggesting is a positive or doable or even needed.
Yeah, and I don't think they want to retrofit the games that we already have. They just wish games, especially war games, were more like America's Army, which is actually made by the Army as a training simulator, and less like, your Grand Theft Autos and your Call of Duties and whatnot, that don't specifically take one route or the other.
And it's not applicable to fantasy or sci-fi, they're trying to say.
So they don't want to get involved with Mass Effect. They
So
don't wanna
you
get
can
involved
kill
with
everyone in space.
Red Dead Redemption. They don't want to get involved with Skyrim or anything like that. We're talking about military, realistic simulators that might fall under Geneva Convention codes if you were actually a soldier
Well, if we're going
in
with
that actual
realistic
army.
situations, I feel like some maybe glorify being a soldier too much. It could go both ways. That's what I'm arguing.
Right.
So, what do you think about this? There was a quiz not a quiz. There was a poll.
There will be a quiz later.
There will be a quiz, so I hope you studied. There was a poll on theyoungturks.com. I believe it is over. I do not know what the answer was. This is our answer. Let us know what yours are, more than one person, in the comments below.
Hopefully more than one person.